What's going on, everybody? It's Josh, aka the Moses Muscle,
Your boy, cousin Creamy coming at you.
and we got a day. All right, so hop right into it. The topic is the mental aspect of training, or the mental aspect of the gym, and or why do you do it? So, Colin, when you're in the gym and you're training,
Yes.
why are you there? Why do you want to be there?
It all stems from when I was fat. It was not to put in the cliche bodybuilding meme kind of way. I hated myself, how I looked, how I felt, and I promised myself I would never get back there. And it all stemmed with, losing weight. And now it's just I want to become a better bodybuilder because I can't stand the fact of stepping on stage and losing.
Is the obsession with getting back on stage made you a different? What, like, how did, let me phrase this better. How did you get fat? Why did you get fat?
I went to college and I was always like rather, thick throughout high school. Even being an athlete,
How
I
many C's?
was what?
How many C's?
Like three.
Wider than he was tall. Okay. Jeez. A lot of C's. That's a lot of C's.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
then I went to school and, even being a college athlete with an immense amount of exertion, training, practice, whatever you want to do, also came freedom. So it was my first taste of freedom. I was away from, my house, my family. And I kind of just let myself go overboard, unknowingly. And it wasn't something I was in denial. It was just that my athleticism never really took a hit. It was just, I was eating and drinking kind of whatever I wanted. I was drinking a lot of, alcohol. I was drinking, the full sugar sodas, everything. It was just, I went very overboard because this was like my only first taste of freedom. And once that happened, yeah, everyone says the freshman 15. I greened the freshman 50. I went from 205 to 255
Damn.
in a year.
Damn.
So some can say that's a successful bulk, 1 pound a week, a little less, but I just got extremely fat. And yeah, then, it was like a year and a half after where I started, following Christian Guzman, and then I started training, and then I fell in love with training. And that's kind of what pushed me to bodybuilding because I was never training to be a bodybuilder. I trained for the love of training, falling in love with training, and then that pushed me to bodybuilding.
That's a great answer. Do you think now what tendencies when you were gaining the weight did you have? Like where did you I guess it's another version of the same question of why did you get fat? But like
Yeah,
was there a I don't want to get deep dark secrets out of
it's
you.
fine.
Was there an inherent feeling of like inadequacy? Was there something where you were like, what was driving you to gain the weight? Because at some point you had to see it in the mirror. Had to.
Yeah, it was, one sec. So it was a lot of, I don't know, my tendencies. I guess it was just no one really told me. No one really made me a parent to gaining the weight. No one said like, "Hey, you're getting fat." No one really saw, and like even when I lost the weight, no one, like everyone that I went to school with, they said like, "Oh, we never really noticed," because I guess it was gradual, but for me, it just seemed so sudden. Again, 50 pounds in a year is a lot of fucking weight.
Big boy.
Muscle or fat? Like, I mean, muscle is absurd. That is not possible. But fat wise, I mean, that's a lot of fucking weight. And a lot of these people saw, they would tell me now, again, I don't know if they're fucking lying or not. They're like, oh, we never noticed. Like, we just liked you for who you were. Okay. Fucking suck me.
Boy had
Anywho.
thickums.
But again, it was just, a lot of it came from the drinking, but with drinking came eating. And then I had like a really bad relationship with food, more so in the sake of just a lot of closet eating. So like eating when I'm not around people because of being embarrassed of being that big. So like it was the whole like, oh, we don't understand how you're gaining so much weight. It's like, yeah, but you don't see what I'm eating when I'm not around anyone. And that was a big issue that I ran into um with gaining weight. I wouldn't say uncontrollably, but it was just something where I knew that I felt ashamed when I would eat certain foods, but they were also like feel good food. So it's like shitty food. So that was like, again, it was a lot of stuff stemming from, you know, gaining all the weight and then being self-conscious about gaining all the weight, not really being noted, not being made aware of gaining all the weight. And that's like my biggest thing. So it's like even now, like I'll say, because again, we get stage lean, we're like, oh yeah, we're fat. No, I know I'm not fucking fat, but there ain't no fucking way that I'll ever let myself get back there because I worked too goddamn hard to lose 100 fucking pounds to get back down.
Cool. Wow. It's I hate that I have to do that before every question, but my voice isn't the best right now.
You're good.
So, do you think the closet eating, the uncontrolled nature of which you were gaining weight, do you think you just transferred that to bodybuilding? Do you think you fully, quote unquote, healed from that?
No.
Oh, that's a tough question. Sorry.
No, it's I can sincerely say no, I haven't. And that's honestly why there's times in preps where, or even just like an off-season setting where it's like I'm just trying to keep it together, but I kind of eat as I want, and then I feel the guilt, and then I don't eat the next day, and then again, like it was more so my first couple years of prep, which would make me kind of spiral into that because I would eat the plan. Like for instance, when I was in Jersey City, I would eat the plan all day at work. I'd come home, I'd go to the gym, come home, post workout, great. I have one meal left. It's a Friday. My boy Alex wants to go out. Boom, we go out. I go, we have a couple beers turn into a couple shots turn into really fucked up. Then it's a late night pizza. And then I'm hungover the next day. And then what's going to make me feel good the next day? A, a bagel from our local bodega down the road that's going to fucking, make me feel great. And then it turns into a bender on Saturday. So it's like, it was always not necessarily a guilt trip, but it's just like one thing led to another, and it would just lead me down to like a road of shit. And then I'd wake up Sunday, feel like shit, wouldn't eat anything all day long. So it's again, I wouldn't progress in the field of healing the food stuff because it would always had a negative connotation hanging over my head because of my own personal actions, which I'm very aware of. But no matter what, it still had a negative connotation for what I was doing at that point.
Do you work to heal it now? Do you work to have a better relationship with food? Or
Yeah. It's been a work in progress for sure, but I think I'm not going to say this is what's healed it. I'm not going to say I'm fully healed whatsoever, but it did definitely help now working with Jack because again, I'm eating to the point where I don't like food. I don't want to eat food, and like even when it comes to off-plan meals, I don't really look forward to them that much because I'm just so full throughout the day. I'm eating upwards of 5K calories a day. I've never had that much food ever in my life. So for me to eat that much, feel as full as I do all day long, the want to go and eat off plan, like, yeah, sure, I can eat off plan, but like I just won't be able to eat all day just to have that off plan meal. So like how worth it is it? Because I'm very now relying on the whole goal orientated. It's like, is one off plan meal going to be more substantial for my goals or my you know, meal plan for the day? Is that going to push me more towards the goals that I want and, keep my body comp in check, keep my head in check, all that kinds of stuff. Like there's a lot of push and pull that I go through now because again, if it's not something that is going to help me progress in this sport, hobby, sorry, then not to say that I put a negative note on it, but it's something where I try to limit it as much as possible because Again, if Jack goes, hey, baseline, no off-plan meal, cool, dude. I don't even want to fucking eat the, I don't even want to eat an off-plan meal right now. So it's just, again, it's been healing by overfeeding. So again, it's not healing necessarily.
Asking.
Yeah, because you're kind of putting still an unhealthy relationship with food on the whole force feeding side of things. So it's the lesser of two evils, I guess you want to call it. But again, it's helped me in that manner just because again, when I start a prep, I'm still gonna be full of shit. So it's like I'm not gonna really feel the effects until probably like 6 weeks out.
Right.
So
Well, I have one in the chamber, and then somebody walked over, you know where she is, scouring like a lion. Her new nickname's Simba. Um, Delilah, obviously.
obviously,
For those who did not catch on. But in your experience now, with the ability to turn it on and turn it off, is that something that you feel everyone can learn? Or is that just a headspace of the goal orientation? Will somebody be able to turn that on, turn that off? What you battle with, what you struggle with personally, because everyone has different battles. We'll get into some of my many demons at some point, but
yeah.
for you, it's like, do you feel that if somebody else had that issue, is that something that they could just learn to do even if they're not trying to be a bodybuilder or they just want to look good for a vacation? Is that possible? Can they live
Yeah.
with it and still have a goal in mind?
Yeah. I mean, it all comes to customizing how you want to live your life. Again, not everyone's going to be a bodybuilder. Perfectly aware of that. Not everyone's going to eat like a bodybuilder. Perfectly aware of that. Turning it on and off, I feel like is something that can be learned. Yes, it does come with, having goals set in mind, but at the same time, it's something that you can build within yourself because at the end of the day, I feel like it all kind of stems from discipline, not motivation. The whole discipline, motivation, push and pull, where people, misconstrue what is motivation, what is discipline. I think it's a lot more discipline orientated. Again, it all comes from the background of your family. If you're a military-based family, police-based, anything of that nature is gonna be a lot more discipline growing up. But again, I feel like it's something that can be learned over time because even myself, like, yes, I bodybuild, but at the same time, even if I didn't bodybuild anymore, I'd still be able to hold myself accountable for what I've learned over the years. Just because, again, bodybuilding is not forever, and I'm not getting fat again, at least till like fucking 65. So at this point, it's just you want to find a proper balance of what works, and a lot of it stems from making food taste good. A lot of people just say healthy food sucks. It's like, no, you just don't know how to cook. If you know how to flavor shit correctly, or you know how to cook a chicken breast without drying it out to sandpaper, then yeah, I mean it's going to be perfectly fine. But I feel like it's something that you can definitely learn, but with proper guidance to a certain extent, because it's all well and good to try and do it on your own, but that's why a lot of people stop because they can't do it on their own and they have no guidance and they have no direction of how to do it or where to go.
Wow. We got deep into the relationship with food, son. So now I want to bring it back to training.
Okay.
Because I think there's two dragons, right? Maybe dragons isn't the right term. But there's two dragons. So there's a mindset with food and how you are relationship wise with food. And then there's the training. At least for me, there is. There's two separate entities that kind of go into that. So how do you turn that dial for training? What's your motivation to train? Why do you want to do what you do? How hard you train? Like, where's your purpose there? Is that
Me,
improvement or is that something else?
it's it's kind of cliche to say, but it's the want to not. No, I'm gonna rephrase that. I personally, I look at it because again, you get stage lean, you see the progression year to year. The last thing I want to ever go through is, let's say I cut down again, I get ready for a show, I look the fucking same as the year before. I just wasted a year. I just wasted my time. And it's like, it's great that, you're training hard and you're eating this, but if there's no progression, was it worth it? And really, all that, you know, holding yourself accountable to a plan, like how hard were you really training? And like that's my biggest hang up is that when people say they train hard but they look the fucking same every year, you don't train hard. You go through the motions because if you're training hard, you will progress year to year, natural or not. I don't care, you want to talk about genetics, I don't give a fuck. You train hard, you eat enough food through a growing phase and you cut down, you if you're not looking better and better each year, bigger each year, you're going backwards. You're going nowhere. And I'm not here to waste my time. I have such a limited time on this earth. I'm not wasting my time. And especially in the I don't know how long my bodybuilding career is. I have no idea. So why waste time when all I want to do is progress myself as, an athlete, but also as a person in society.
Yeah, I think that's super fair. And this it led to how I think about training because I have my own things that you know about, and some things I'll share, and some things we're going to keep in the deep dark vault. But then, like, there is the other aspect of like wanting to improve, wanting to get better, and like knowing that there's a finality to it. There
Mhm.
is an end to bodybuilding. There is a end to training the way that you do, and it's almost one of those things that like I put it in very dark terms. I want to see if I could end my own life in the gym. But that's not
Yeah.
really what it is. It's a matter of can I improve? Can I go harder? Is there another gear? Is there another level? And they always say, like, in order to know if you really train hard, you have to train with somebody who trains hard as hell. And it's like, I don't ever want to be put in a position where, like, I went into a gym with somebody else and, like, they didn't like working out with me because I didn't train hard. I want to be one of the people that like somebody, I mean, I want to be, you come to me to train with me because you know I'm going to go hard.
Yeah.
You know I'm not going to leave anything on the table. And there's like a pride in that for me. The other thing is that as anyone who has ever probably trained with me sees, is there is a switch. There's a, there's something that happens in my brain where I could be in the middle of a set and I either find peace or there is something I'm fighting deep down inside. And that's it's there's been a lot that's happened in my life that I can go and dig into that hole. And I think being able to go back and forth between back forth and I guess to the side with all three of those things allows for a different training experience for almost anyone. I think because I personally am able to access those three. I think everyone has their own thing and why they do it, whether it's to feel good, whether it's to look good, whether it's they got a lot of other things going on their mind. I think that there's always a reason. You can always find a reason. It could be from a happy place, it could be from a dark place. And when it comes to the mindset with training, it's finding your why. I I know I've said it when we've trained together. I know whenever I've trained with anybody, I try to find their reason as to why they're doing this, whether it's
Yeah.
positive or negative. What is the reason you're subjecting your body to this? We're putting ourselves in pain in order to transform or in order to make a muscle adjust. It has to think that it wouldn't be able to survive the thing that it did last.
Yep.
Why we started growing muscle in the first place, all the way back to Paleolithic times. Like we can get real deep on that. So if you're really trying to change yourself, you're literally telling your body that it would die if you did that again. What is that thing that you can, what is that trigger for you? Everyone has one. It's just a matter of finding it. So what is your positive, I would say is the improvement? Do you have a dark side? Is there something that you're fighting deep and you don't have to share what it is? It's just a matter of if you have one, how often do you have to go there? Do you
I'd say
go there? Sorry, let me phrase it like that. Do you think it's healthy to go there? We'll have two very different opinions on this, so don't turn around trying to sugarcoat what you have to say.
no. I'm not gonna say in in moments time, yes, I feel like it is necessary. Do I think it's healthy? Not necessarily, because again, you're kind of trauma dumping on yourself to put yourself through pain and anguish that has lived on in your past that you can't change. So no, I don't think it's healthy because again, just like many things in life, you're not changing the past. The past is the past, and you can control the controllables and you got to let go of the uncontrollables, but there are times where with us in prep, you're having a really shitty day. You're 2 weeks out. You feel like shit. You fucking feel like you look like shit. And you're tired. But for some reason, that training session, you put yourself through the fucking ringer. And it doesn't matter how tired you are. You dove into some deep, dark cave and you're fucking coming out swinging one way or another. You're either dying or you're making it through that training session. So, no, do I think it's healthy? No. Do I think it's somewhat necessary at times? Yes.
Tried to. Fuck. It's a great answer. I strongly disagree.
I know. I knew you were. Because
Yes.
you dive into a dark place every single time.
Yes. Um, when it comes to training for me, I feel like if I turn around and I say, I want to I want to adapt, I want to change, right? There's the positive aspect of that, but then sometimes, especially for myself, you get to a point of set where there is nothing but that thing.
Hmm.
Whatever you are battling that day, whatever's going on in your head, that needs to come out. And it can come out in many different ways. Sooner or later, if there's been something that happens to you, and there's a lot of people who a lot of things have happened that like they don't want to deal with. If you don't find a way to deal with it, you will explode. It will come out. It finds its way out every single time. So for me personally, my personality has changed tremendously in the last 6 months or so.
Hmm.
And it's because I had a lot of demons to fight, and I was almost being held back. There was almost a governor that I wasn't able to go and fight those things. So it was just pent up. And then I found a way to access the things that pain me, that I have locked in the recesses of my brain that I don't want to deal with, that I don't want to go and see somebody, I don't want to talk to somebody about. This is getting dark and you hear me starting to try and hold back. But like there's certain things I can't talk to everyone about. I
Yeah.
can't explain certain things. So I have to fight those by myself. And it's one on one. And it's me and the guy in the mirror. And it has to be a full-blown fight. And I have to come out on the other side. Because if I don't, that's it. That's it. There's nothing that
Hmm.
I won't come back from it. I have to come back from it. So that fight happens there. And it doesn't matter at that point if the rep is failed or not.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. I had to get there and I had to show myself that I was willing to fight and stay in that fight because I know I can go again.
Hmm.
And then when you get that extra rep, it's a double fuck finger to that guy. Look in the mirror and you flip yourself off because you're happy that you just absolutely destroyed yourself. And you're like, I won that battle. And the rest of the day is fantastic. You just feel incredible because you got to fight whatever it is. And yes, you can't change the past, but in your brain, you change the outcome that day.
Hmm.
It's everything. To me, that's everything. And that's why I do what I do. I started training at 12 years old with Sue at Fitness 19. She brought me to the gym because I was a chubby little kid who wanted to get better at football. I had no idea back then that it would turn into what it is now. Now it's personal. Now every single set is personal. There's something in my brain that switches on, it becomes me and it. That's it. Back then, I hated the gym. 12 years old, I could not stand the gym. It was the worst place in the world. Sue made me do 45 minutes cardio every day after we worked out. My goal was always to hit 15 miles on a bike, on an exercise bike in 45 minutes. That's a 3 minute mile pace.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was flying for 45 minutes. Um, it was just something I like mentally had to do. Then sooner or later, I knocked that down to 30 minutes and it had to be 10 miles because I was not doing that for the whole time. Still 3 minute mile pace.
Yeah.
But I'd be flying. I lost like 30 pounds and I finally felt good about myself. I had been getting called fat by a lot of people for a long time. Wasn't fat, just chubby. So yeah, I lost like 30 pounds. And then I went to St. Anthony's and I started playing football. And I was training for football. I've had like a trainer or whatever, but I had never gotten as good as quickly as with training. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I go run at a field every once in a while, or like I go to a football camp and get better skills wise, but like I wasn't training myself. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just go to the gym with Sue and lift weights, but like I'd never seen a progression that fast.
Yeah.
And then I started lifting with the team and doing the extra practices and stuff like that. And like for me, I grew 5 inches and gained like 40 pounds in like 6 months.
Oh my God.
And I looked better than when I was shorter and fat or chubby and then like lost the 30 pounds. So I was like skinny fat, I guess. I
Yeah.
looked better, but I was definitely thicker. And I was like, I like this. I grew a lot.
Yeah.
I got really strong really quick. Like it was cool. Next 3-ish years, I loved the gym, but I didn't tap into the dark stuff. So it came into eating, which I always kind of struggled with. I kind of ate. I I lack proper hormones or hunger hormone signaling.
Yeah.
I don't get hungry really. I don't get full really. My body has signs or tells, but like I can keep eating or I could just not eat for long periods of time. Um, Probably unhealthy, probably something I have to deal with. For right now, it works for me. I'm going to deal with it at some point. But because of that long period of time that I have that, if I was dealing with stuff, I'd just binge eat, stress eat. Couldn't have cereal around, couldn't have trolley gummy worms were a problem.
Yeah.
A problem. 5 pound bag could be gone in a day. Box of Frosted Flakes, if I'm home by myself, gone. Pop Tarts, gone. Did not matter. Food just was consumed, and I didn't think about it. I didn't care. I didn't. It was just I ate the entire day.
Yeah. That was a big issue with me is that a lot of it was just like stress eating. And then like I'm stressed that I'm fucking eating. And then I continue into a binge. And it was a very unhealthy cycle that I was in. I wouldn't say that was necessarily when I gained all the weight. I just was being a fat fuck at that point. It was like when I lost all the weight, I was like, I was so hyper focused on not gaining all the weight back that like, again, it would be like, eat a shit ton. Oh, I feel bad about myself. Fucking don't eat for like a day. Oh, and then I'm starving, and then I eat a shit ton again. So it was just like a stupid cycle that I was putting myself through.
Let me apologize. It looked like I started laughing. The screen paused. We couldn't hear you, and your face was just kind of stuck. So it looked
Your
like
face was
I was
stuck
like,
on
what just
mine.
happened?
Yeah, your face was stuck on mine. So I was like, do I keep going?
No, I was it. We had a lapse, so sorry about that. It looked like I started
Bye.
laughing at you. I was like, "Oh, that's so rude."
Yeah, fuck me, man.
But yeah, I think they everyone has a reason for their binge eating or whatever it is. And then I do think that dealing with whatever your problem is gives you a superpower.
Yeah.
It gives you something that when you're able to either positively or negatively self-motivate yourself, whether it's a person, a thing, something that happened, something traumatic that you like remember. Like I'll tell the story of how I wake up in the middle of the night and hear a boat propeller by my head.
Oh yeah, that's
So
fucked.
like it for anyone who doesn't know that story, I was 6 years old. I got ran over by a boat and it cut my leg open. My own stupidity. But You're 6 years old, you don't know what's about to happen. Cut across both legs. One leg didn't really get a scar. The other one, I was cut open. A couple months later, had a pretty bad infection that went to the hospital, got cleaned up. We're good to go now, no problems. But like, can see it in stage shots. There's a chunk of my leg missing, um, which is funny. But at the end of the day, like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and hear that and just jump up because like I know how that story went. I could see it from the outside looking in, but like that stuff, when you gain control of that, when you understand that, things happen, there's nothing you can change. They're the only thing, and I remember hearing this on the podcast with James Thayer, shout out. But I think it's called Paint the Edges podcast. Listen to them if you listen to us. They're cool people. But when you understand the finality is death, you're in a situation and there is always an option. There is always a final option, and you can exhaust every resource until you get to that final option. You did everything you could. And when you start to build that strength of going through your problems and realizing like whatever you got deep in there is not going to kill you. It's not the end point. You can gain strength over it. And that's something that I try to preach to people in person because it's hard to convey this message over a text or a call. But in person, you can feel the energy. You could feel when someone else has been through something. You can understand that and you can give back to them to say, like, hey, this is how I deal with mine. You can deal with yours this way. And to relay this or circle this back to the food thing, when your outlet becomes eating and you start to gain weight and you battle with a binge eating, I'm not qualified to talk about binge eating disorders. I've just kind of had one. Um, when you start to deal with the underlying issues of why you're doing it, you can gain that power over it. And that's what bodybuilding, I feel like, has allowed for both of us to do. Do I still have healthy eating patterns? No.
Hmm.
No, because if I was given complete freedom, I probably wouldn't eat for a day. And then I would probably eat the entire day the next day.
Yeah.
So it's like bodybuilding gives you the structure in which you could build discipline. When
Yeah.
you build discipline and you can get a knowledge base, you can understand that like that's not healthy per se. Doing that, like I know if I don't eat for 14, 15 hours every single day, that's not the best idea. That's just not positive. Or, you don't eat for 3 days because you're trying to figure out something, like you just get stuck in the thought process of it. It's not healthy. It's not healthy to binge eat, go to an all-you-can-eat buffet. I specifically didn't say sushi. We're not getting into that. But like go to an all-you-can-eat Chinese food buffet and you just keep eating and eating and eating and eating and eating and eating until they kick you out. It's like that's probably a problem.
Yeah.
That's something that you got to deal with deeper inside of you of like, hey, listen, I got some stuff I got to work out. So you start to understand that like the mentalities of training, what's your why, whatever those reasons are, you can understand, you can use them as fuel in a positive manner, or you can let them eat you alive. And I think it's more so than anything, you'll see that it eats you alive through food, through your relationship with your food, and you can use them in a positive light in training and business and trying to level yourself up socially. But if you don't deal with it on this side will always get affected.
Yeah. And this is not necessarily off topic, but it's the whole like people who deal with like binging and anything of that nature just have an unhealthy relationship with food. Like again, myself, if I really I hate to put it this, no, I'm not gonna say it that way. I'm gonna say it that way. If I was weak and, just folded like a lawn chair when I gained all the weight, I'd still be fat. Just regardless if I found bodybuilding or not, at that point I definitely wouldn't have. But if I just didn't do anything for myself whatsoever, I'd still be fat to this day. Wouldn't know you, wouldn't know anyone, wouldn't really have a healthy relationship with myself. Who knows if I'm even here at this point? But at the end of the day, it's, when people want to make a drastic change, I will very much say and take accountability. The 5 months that I lost 100 pounds was stupid, very dumb. The way I did it, very, very dumb. We'll never put anyone through that, nor will I ever do that again. Because I crash dieted for the better part of 5 months. And I told myself, I don't give a fuck how much hell I put myself through. I don't care how shitty this gets. I'm losing the weight. So that's what I did. 5 months, 100 pounds. Complete crash diet, 1,600 calories a day, 45 minutes cardio a day, lifting almost every single day, probably 6 days a week. Brutal. Fucking horrible. But it's the fact is that, you started. And a lot of people feel lost in the sake that, they're too far gone or they're don't know or it really stems from too far gone. They're like, what's the point? You'll never know until you start. People always feel like you have to go from, working out 0 times a week to 6 times a week and eating, chicken and rice and broccoli unflavored for X amount of whatever the case may be, just to lose this weight. And it's like there's so many different directions that you can go where, you don't necessarily need to work out 6 times a week. You can work out to start 2 times, 3 times a week. Start tracking steps, start subbing different things. Instead of full calorie soda, drink diet soda. Like there's small things that you can do in order to lose the weight. And it's like the people who feel so lost and just, you know, no idea where to start. It's just they don't I feel like people think they need to make these drastic changes when you just need to make something small and incremental. You start seeing results and you build off of that. People dive way too fucking deep, way too far in the deep end and just burn themselves out. It's just, and even when you do something like that, even if you're to stick to it, like myself, you build an unhealthy relationship with food. I went from eating 1,600 calories a day where anything that I ate that wasn't, you know, low carb, high protein, I was like, fuck that. I don't want to touch it. When it came to like eating out with friends, I would go out, I would never touch food. I wouldn't drink, I wouldn't do anything because I was just so hyper focused on a goal. Some say it's good. It's extremely unhealthy to look at it that way because you have no balance. The biggest thing that I found with people, especially in any case, is just balance. Learning how to balance a social life, work life, gym life, everything in contingency with one another. Because again, it's all well and good to have your goals set in stone. That's great. Set your life up to achieve those goals. Because I'm sorry, no one's really going to hold yourself accountable beside yourself, and no one's going to help you achieve those goals beside yourself. Because at the end of the day, you have you, and that is fucking it. You're not promised tomorrow. It's just something where you have to be the best version of yourself at every waking moment and be able to go to bed that day and say, I did everything in my possibility to get better. And if you're not doing that, you're moving backwards.
100%. I think just saying, just starting, like, you know what? This is how we're gonna do this. There's not a single person on this planet who does not know how to eat healthy. Whether it's a financial restriction, whether it's whatever it is, it is. But everyone knows there are healthier options. It's just a matter of making the conscious choice to choose yourself over, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of, heavenly food, we'll
Yep.
call it. It's a matter of saying, like, hey, listen, I can have this every once in a while, but like, I'm not going to make this a conscious decision.
Yep.
So if there's anything to be taken from this, I would say just starting the process will be better than never starting and just continuing to delay. So with that
100%.
said, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun shit. We're out. Peace.